right. Hi. Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hi, awesome. I'm so sorry that we started late. Super sorry about this. We're just having a bit of some technical issues, but yeah, we're ready to go. Hi. Nice to meet you. So what's gonna happen here is I'm going to be using this as my audio, and then I'll be sharing on this other screen. So like, don't worry about how at times it'll be two different things sharing. So hi, welcome guys. So I'm not sure how many more, if anyone else is going to join. If not, that's it's good. It's okay. I'm still going to upload this onto YouTube. So I'm gonna start sharing my screen now, guys. Please just let me know if you can see it.
Yes, I can see it.
Awesome. Hi, welcome, Nancy. There was someone else was asking to join. There was one more. Oh, sorry. Is anyone else waiting to share? Hi. So what's gonna happen is I'll just start this off from here, right? Just checking. Can everyone hear me? I just want to make sure that everyone's on board and everyone can hear me before I get started.
I can hear you.
All right, cool. Great. So yeah, we are just gonna get started now. So as you know, sorry. Today we're going through visual storytelling. So throughout the series of how to get into the career of being a creative or creative writing or creative storytelling, we want to pick up from where we left off last week when we're just getting started on creative writing. And so today we want to add a bit more to what we talked about last week. And this is focusing on visual storytelling. So the visual is really adding, more depth and more, just to make your stories more interesting, more appealing to your viewers and your audiences, just so that you have that different feel, that additional feel to what we'll be talking about in your stories. So as here we have our definition of what visual storytelling is, which is the art of communicating, whether it's messages or emotions, narratives, and information in a way that it can leave that can reach viewers at a deep and lasting level, right? And so that is like the basic definition, right? So what we want to do right now is just have a look at what this lesson will cover. And if there are any questions at the end of this, and if you feel like maybe we didn't touch on some of the things that were touched here, we can then talk about it at the end, right? And so this lesson, we're going to go through what visual storytelling is, and the relevance of visual storytelling. So why would you want to know what visual storytelling is? Why would you want to create visual stories? What is the benefit? Who's it going to benefit? And how can it help you as a storyteller? And then we're going to look at the different types of visual stories, right? So there's really a wide variety, but today we're just going to look at three. Why are we doing this? Because I think part of the assignment that we're going to have for this particular lesson is going to focus on these three types. So we're going to look at video, photo, and infographics. Those are the different types of visuals that we're going to be looking at. And then we're also going to touch a bit on how to tell stories using photos, how to tell stories using videos and infographics. Really, that's what the crux of the lesson is going to be on, right? And so when we talked about visual storytelling at the beginning, I didn't give a comprehensive definition, but then here's a nice definition that I found, which is that visual storytelling involves the use of graphics, images, pictures, and videos to engage with viewers, in an effort to drive emotions, engage into communication, and motivate an audience to action. So in as much as words are great, you can just write stories, but then the visuals, it helps your audiences to imagine things that are going on. It helps the audience to picture, and it just, if you're seeing something versus just reading words, so if you're seeing a picture, if you're talking about the effects of let's, for example, what's going on in Ukraine right now. So if there's a story that's talking about how it's affecting how the war is affecting young people. So in as much as a great article from the BBC might drive that point home, but then without the visuals, that pictures, that images, it just doesn't have that thing doesn't have that oomph. So when we incorporate visuals into telling our stories, it just creates that you become emotionally attached, if I can say that. It invokes some emotions. You feel like you can connect with what's going on through what you're saying. So you know how there's this popular saying that says a picture tells like 1,000 words. So like, in as much as you can use 1,000 words, that one picture can communicate more effectively what you're trying to to get across to your audiences. I hope I am making sense so far.
Okay.
Right. So as I said, we're going to look at the three types of visual storytelling, which is photo, video, and infographics. Right. But before we get there, we want to look at as I said before, the relevance of visual storytelling. Why do you want to add visuals to your stories? And you will discover that a lot of audiences, especially the younger audiences, the younger demographics. So from your millennials going, coming this way, our concentration or attention span has become very limited. So in contrast to how our parents or their parents before that, they could read articles and articles and words upon words, because that's what was available to them. Generations now tend to find words, just articles with words alone, just boring and tedious. And so our concentration span then will just be like, we'll just tend to veer away from what we're reading because those words are now boring to us. So when we add visuals to our storytelling, it helps to engage what we're trying to communicate.
Man.
Do you mind unmuting yourself? I'm not sure who's there. Okay. Sorry. So we're going on to why else we need to look into visual storytelling. So right, how we live in a generation where everything and anything is now content. So someone cracks a joke about something and it's turned into a meme. Something happens on the news or something happens in parliament, it's turned into a song. It turns into all sorts of different things. We have all these TikTok videos that are coming into us left, right, into our, timelines left, right, and center. There's all these tweets, like all sorts of stories, everything is just like it floods, tends to flood us. So there's a lot of content that comes into us. And what happens is we're consuming that in the form of our mobile phones, right? And if we're now then consuming like those visuals, using our phones, if you add, videos to that, it helps us, to stay glued to what we're trying to consume, right? If we're looking at it in a small like screen versus like a big screen, this looking at our content on small screens, and we add like visuals and images and videos, it helps us. So if I'm like, for example, I'm scrolling through like TikTok or something, if I'm looking at videos and pictures, I think I'm more likely to be engaged with that rather than reading an article for like 10 minutes. So you know how on certain, publishing platforms, you have that note that says, this is like a 4-minute read, this is a 10-minute read, and a time, if it's like plain text. I don't know if you're like me, like if it's a 10-minute read and it's just plain text, I'm likely to start, looking at other things and start talking to the person next to me. But if you have visuals, it's going to keep me engaged. I'm unlikely to be distracted, or if I am, it won't be for long, right? And another reason why we want to add visuals to our stories is it simplifies certain things. So like if there's something complex about something that's happening, visuals like infographics, for example, they will break it down. They can help break it down. They can help us understand what's going on visually. So for example, if you want to understand the magnitude of, let's say I'm thinking of a data set, let's give an example of a data set that's, would be very hard to comprehend. Okay, fine. Right now I can't think of an example, but then if you understand what I'm saying, that it helps to simplify things when you see them physically with your eyes rather than just reading about them. Because let's say if it's a technical story and you don't have that technical know-how, if you then see it in the form of a video, if you see someone doing like an explainer video about how to do something, it will help you to visualize and to help you to understand. It becomes simple for you to understand. I hope that makes sense, right? So far. So this is the importance of why we need to look into visual telling, how it can help us communicate better with our audience. So I'd want us to then look at how then we can come up with content. So content that you're trying to, get out there. And so, when we're talking about photos, so right now we're going to start off with, photos, right? And videos, obviously. But where can you get this content? So you have, let's say you have some time, or you're looking for a gig or something, but you don't know really, where am I going to get the story? Where am I going to get these images? Where am I going to get these videos? How do you get started? I know if you remember, yes, last week when we talked about, how to get started, there's various ways, places to talk to, various people to talk to, various places you can go to look for story. And I think it's very similar to how to come up with content for visual storytelling. And the first thing, obviously, is just, move, get out of where you are and just go out and shoot. So if you're at home, for example, and you just go out to take a walk around your neighborhood, down the street, or go, visit people or whatever, just have your camera with you. And you just never know what's going to be happening in those areas, like where you're having a conversation with someone and then they can, they say something that's interesting to you. So you can then be like, okay, I would like to, interview about this. Can we talk about it with me recording you? That is, simple things like that. Just go out and just meet people, talk to people. So you can go to events, you can attend seminars, you can arrange photo walks. I am a big fan of photo walks. So what I'll do is I'll just organize a weekend, and I'll just go, let's say, up like go to Matopo, and I'm like, I just want to go and take photos. I don't know who I'm going to meet there, who I'm going to talk to, but like if I'm in that space where I want to interact with people, I will definitely come across people and then just take photos of what's going on. So if someone is building something that's very interesting, I can just get there and ask, can I take pictures of what you're doing? Or if you're into wildlife or whatever, just go out and take photos of wildlife and nature. So go out to different locations and create authentic content. And why I'm saying authentic content which is leading to the next point, is there's this tendency at times to rely on, we like to call it desktop journalism, where you just sit at your computer, desk, whatever, and just work from there, which is, okay, well, in 2022 right now. So like, yeah, that's very popular for content creators to do that. And so there are a wide variety of online sources, but then create authentic content at times just gives it that feel that it's uniquely yours. It's not, you're unlikely to come across that same picture that you're going to use on another site, because you're the one who took it. You're not going to come across that video footage anywhere else because it's yours. It's uniquely yours. It just makes it feel like, it's contextual if you use authentic content. But then if you don't have, time to go out, or you feel like there's certain information that you yourself can't capture, then you can use online sources. I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with, sites like Pixels, Pixabay, Flickr. So those ones are basically free to use. So photographers all over just upload different photos of different scenarios. So whether it's protests, it's, just anything, quite literally, you can look for a free photo of anything, but anything in the world. So if you're looking for pictures on, fur coats, if you're looking for pictures on how, bombs, or how bombs are made, or just anything really, there are photos which are free to use. And why I'm saying free to use is, with photography and just content creation, there's a lot of copyright information. So if you use an image that you find on Google, so if you just do a simple Google search and you don't acknowledge where that picture came from, there are some legal implications to that. So the best way to avoid, any, legal ramifications is to go to the sites that are actually, free to use, which is, as I've said, Pixels, Pixabay, Flickr. Those are the ones I usually use. But if you just Google, free stock images, yeah, they're called stock images. You can find just a variety of sites that have free stock images. And this takes a bit of time, because at times you find that you're looking for something specific and you won't necessarily find it on one platform. So you have to go to different platforms until you find what it is that you're looking for. So this part does take a bit of patience, and you have to be willing to filter and look through all of them. So if it's like the result is like 20 pages, you may not find it in the first page, whatever, but just, patiently, you will find what you're looking for. And then another place you can then find your story or your content is, your own personal stories. I believe that our lives themselves are at times are testimonies or stories. So, you can just tell, about yourself. So let's say you're going out, you're going to try out some new food, or there's something that happened, you achieved something great. So if you graduated, you got like a second degree, or you were promoted, you made partner, just something like that. Just pick up your camera, take pictures of that. So you take a picture of your certificate or whatever, take a video of what's happening with you. That is elite content. That is how people become content creators. That's how people tell their stories on the internet these days. So just your own personal story can be a great way to get started. And as people are then reacting to that, those different reactions, and they can ask you, oh, so how about this? Do you think about this? How did you go about it? That can then lead you to more avenues of creating different types of content. I hope that makes sense. Are we together? Hello.
Yes.
Yes,
now
it's making
together.
sense. We're following.
Awesome.
Mhm,
Okay. So continuing talking about photos, and so I'm calling them visual essays, but then there are photo essays. It can just be mosaics. It can be different types of photographic content. And so here I just focused on 3 types of visual of photo essays. So we can have photo slides. Unfortunately, because this is like a PDF, I might not be able to open this. Oh, maybe I will. Okay. This link. So I'll open it, and then I'll just show you what I'm talking about once I'm done talking about it. Right. Right. Yep. So the first type is photo slides. So when I say photo slides, just simply on PowerPoint, if you're familiar with using PowerPoint, you just take all your different photos that you went out and captured different photos and you put them into a slide. And the reason why this is great, and I'm suggesting when encouraging using this photo slides, is because one, it's free to use, because almost everyone has got PowerPoint, or you have Microsoft Office on your machine. You can use PowerPoint, and then once you have that picture right next to it, you can then create your text or your captions, which accompany those things that you're talking about. So the pictures that you've captured and you put in your photo essay, just put it right next to your pictures, and it will add detail to what you're talking about. So as I said, we'll just go through that photo essay from All Africa. Let's see if it has opened. There we go. Nope, it is not sharing. Hold on. Let me see. So I'm just trying to share this page, guys. Hold on. Share. Sorry. Please. All right, this is what I wanted to share with you guys. So this is what I was talking about when I was talking about photo slide. So you can see what the storyteller, this journalist did. They took a picture, and they, what they do is, like, you interview your subjects, you just find out what's going on there, and right next, there's caption, right, a caption right here. So this is what I mean by photo slides. You take a PowerPoint, upload your pictures, and then put the different types of captions right next to it that are explaining what's going on there. I hope this makes sense, you guys. This is a very popular, and I don't want to say easy, but yeah, I think in terms of photo essays, one of the easiest ways of doing it, and it's very comprehensive, and it's easy to follow even for whoever we're trying to engage with. They can follow what's going on because the captions are there and the image is right there. So you look at this picture and you're like, okay, so what's going on? And then it's a 30-year-old woman who is afraid of war, etc, etc, etc. So that is one. Sorry, I'm actually having a hard time figuring this part out. There we go. So the next part is picture collages or mosaics. So a picture collage is basically you are putting together different types of pictures that you've just gathered from everywhere and just put them into like a pic collage. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with that app called Pic Collage. I'm just giving an example. You just do that and you put them into like a form of a collage or mosaic, and it helps you to tell your story effectively and chronologically without necessarily the use of captions. And this is very popular if you have captured images in such a way that honestly the images will tell the story themselves. So it's not necessary to then explain what's going on. So, like, for example, if it's war, a child running away from a dog or something, it's clear what's happening there. So the child running away from a dog, and then the next thing they run into their mother's arms, and mom lifts them up. So it's like kind of like a sequence of pictures that are going to be put in a collage or mosaic. And I think like this is like one of the most impactful and powerful mediums, because the pictures are doing all the talking. And then the next one, what we're going to look at is, just a basic news essay or a news story, what's going to happen is you are going to take your picture and then upload onto whatever site that you're on, and then you're going to add a caption to that. And then you're going to describe it like just right at the bottom, but it's not like in the form of a slide like we were looking at before. Let me just actually let's do this. Let's see if it opens. So I put these in the sorry. I put these links so that you can follow them, when we send out the lesson, you can follow them yourself, right? So there we go. It's the picture, and then there's, a caption to go with it. And you have your story or whatever, and then you have another picture, and then it has the caption. So it's like a series of photos that are talking about a certain thing. So here, obviously, because Russia is like the most topical thing, Russia and the Russia-Ukraine war, most topical thing right now. Takes, just impactful pictures. So like when you see this, you're like, okay, obviously these are soldiers. What's going on? You just want to understand a little bit, and this is what I mean by a simple, photo news essay or simple photo news story. It's just uploading just a bunch of pictures about a certain story, and you accompanying them with captions that are just telling that story. So in as much as you may want to write, what we talked about last week, the beginning, the intro, background, whatever, in a visual or a photo story, it's not really, you don't have time to do that because that's not the format that we're going with photo essays. So this is what I mean by simple photo essay. I hope this makes sense. Now maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, it is.
No, it does make sense. Following.
All right. So now, as we talk, the how do you then go about telling a story using your photos? So there are 8 tips that I use at times, and that I've come across with different journalists, different content creators, that how they come across or how they capture their images. And the first thing, there's no actually order, honestly, with this. You can decide how you're going to order this for yourself, but I'm just going to put them out there for you, and you can decide what you want to do. And if you're going to capture an event or something that's happening, so especially something that you didn't organize yourself, like that you didn't stage. There's some stories that they're just staged. There's a narrative that you're trying to push, but if you're just simply reporting on something, just take multiple shots of any scene or that event or whatever. And this because this allows you not only to get like a variety of pictures, but then you get to get different angles, and you get to get different things to choose from. So for example, if you get a great shot of something, and maybe not a great shot, but then you take a picture of something and you feel like, it's a bit blurry. If you have taken, multiple images, multiple shots of what's going on there, if there's a blurry image, you can just choose something else, And so when you take multiple shots, you're just trying to get a more accurate depiction of the story, And so, you can do that by, taking a picture from different angles. So when I say from different angles, I mean, look, so let's say you are watching it from, an address from the not the pulpit, but then let's say, you're sitting like by the main audience, you can decide to move and take it from a much wider angle. Or if you're, you can't get close enough, you can try, zooming in and out. You can try and focusing on different parts of what's going on in that scene. So just try and get as many photos of what's going on there in that one thing. That way you can, have a variety of things to choose from. And always try and, analyze what's going on in that scene. Just be aware of what's happening in that particular scene. So what else can be impactful to make that photo, what can be used to make that photo impactful? Sorry. So do you need to widen your view to get a better shot? Don't be afraid. As I said, don't be rigid. You can move around, especially if you identify as a photojournalist. You are sort of expected to move about. You can't just sit down and say, I'm just going to take pictures from this one angle. It's not going to work. You need to be aware of, the different angles. You need to be aware of how can I best enhance this. So if you are, let's say, taking a picture of some, CEO who's doing, amazing things with the startup, take a picture like, let's say he's in his office. Taking just a simple portrait of him is not like as impactful as, taking a much wider picture of, him, like, let's say it's chairing some meeting. It gives that impact of, okay, fine, he's talking, this is what he does. It's not just one of those puff piece kind of pictures. It's showing what exactly is going on. So just be aware of what's going on in that area that can help you tell that story better. And also just, related to that, you want to include any other small details, in your shot. I already gave the example of the CEO, but then, then if you're doing a story on farming, if you can then get that farmer, doing something, you're doing his work or his or her work, sorry, my bad. If you can get that, including other things into that shot, it really does enhance what is going on there. So if you've decided that, okay, I just want to focus on a particular thing, fine, you can do that, but just make sure that there are other minor details that can help you just make the story more lively and just becomes more visually appealing. Another thing that I usually find helpful is basically just planning ahead. Like if you're going out on a photo walk, as I talked about earlier, just ask yourself, look, what kind of images am I trying to capture? What story am I telling? How can I go about it? What kind of angles am I trying to, get? Just plan for those. Because like if you get there and at times you might get there late or whatever, you're just overwhelmed and you won't, perform as great. But then if you have a plan, I want to get these 3 wide shots of this guy speaking. I want to get 2 up close pictures of an interview taking place. Just plan those things ahead of time. That way, you're always looking out for, a certain, reactions or whatever. But again, you need to be careful. Like if you are focusing like on what you came prepared to do, you might miss out on spontaneous, things. If someone laughs a little too loud or something, at times it just captures the moment of what's going on in those surroundings. But having a plan of what you want to capture really does help you as a storyteller. It's more organized, obviously, and it really helps you to plan. So one of the other tips would be having maintaining a narrative sequence, right? And what do I mean by that? How is your story going to flow, right? We talked about the flow last time, and the beginning, the middle, and the end. And so you don't want your stories or your pictures or your videos just to be, haphazard. You need to compose everything, chronologically in a way that it will help bring about what you're talking about. So make sure that even though your shots may happen random, you can take a picture, like in the morning, or like let's say it's a weekend thing. So you can take a picture like in the morning of the day, and then you can take, another picture a bit later. But then it happens haphazard. But then if, when you're now compiling everything, it needs to, tell a story or that narrative in the order that it's going to make sense to the audience. And as much as, at times things like photo dumps are great on places like Instagram and Facebook, you see that when someone goes out and just, just upload their 30 pictures all at once, that's a photo dump. And that's okay, just like casually for personal things. But then if you're trying to create a name for yourself as a visual storyteller or as a content creator, you can't afford to do that, because one, that overwhelms your audiences. And, if I'm just reading, like at times with photo dumps as well, it's just the same picture and it's just me just posing. That's okay for, Instagram, as I said. But then if you're telling stories, you avoid photo dumps, really. So you need to be as selective as much as you can with your stories. So I know I encourage you to take multiple photos, and this is where it comes into, you start selecting those photos. So even in as much as you may have taken like 10 good photos of like, one, a speaker during an event, just so you have to, downsize it to just selecting one great photo that captures everything that's going on in that moment, which is at times very hard, especially for me at times. I find it very hard to be like, oh, but I like all my photos. But you honestly have to, because you don't want to overwhelm the people who are going to consume your content. And you want to also capture emotion as much as possible, and emotion comes really in people's faces and in your body language. So if someone is screaming at someone, they're shouting, or they're like they're at some event and someone pulls out the middle finger at someone, that is that is emotion. That is where the emotion lies. Someone is expressing their anger, or they're expressing, someone is expressing love. Visuals, try and capture that emotion by all means possible. So if you want to zoom in on someone talking, try and zoom in on their face and just try and capture that emotional moment. So if you can feel that something is about to happen, at times it can be spontaneous. You miss it at times, but with practice, you get to be able to identify when certain things are about to happen. Just try and capture the emotion as much as possible, because that is really where the story lies in storytelling. And lastly, there are just some photography basics. And I think really, if you're not really well versed with photography at times, you'd need like an entire introduction to photography class. And that's a separate class. But then when we're just talking about the tips that can help you to tell the story using your photos, just basic photography
Hello.
Hey guys, sorry about that.
Okay, was about to just talk about the assignment while we're waiting for you to reconnect, but you can continue.
Oh, okay. Let me just continue sharing this. Sorry about that, guys. Let me know when you can see the screen. Okay, it's up. Okay, so yeah, we're just talking about photography basics, lighting, and focus. So like if you're just zooming in on a particular person, make sure that person is in focus. Blurry pictures is I don't know if I mentioned it before, are really no good. Like if you're taking a picture of someone and they are out of focus and it's more focused on their background, and that is not the intended effect. There was no point in taking that picture. There's no point in uploading that picture. So make sure that your subjects are in focus. So those are some of the photography basics. There's more to it, but then those are, I think, those are the simplest, and those are the things we can try and control without going into technical things that want you to go into a more advanced kind of photography thing. Is that okay? Medium. So there's certain things. There's certain thing called the 4 Ps. Please stop calling. I'm cutting it. Why are you calling? Hi guys. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I think maybe you should just start explaining this new slide because we didn't get anything.
Okay. let me continue from here. So as I said, there are 4 P's of storytelling, which is the plot, purpose, and people and place. So we'll start off with the plot, which is the first P of the 4 P's of storytelling. And that's like the story or the idea of what you're trying to sell. What story are you trying to tell? And why are you trying to tell it? So this will help you to ground that story. And if you keep this in mind, if you keep in mind, what is my story? What is the plot of what I'm trying to do? It will help you stay, on course, to help you stay focused without veering off too much. So in as much as there may be different tangents, or you can introduce different nuances to it, but then if you know what the plot is and you know what the idea is, you're going to stick to it. The narrative. Always have that narrative in your mind. So when you're shooting different videos, if you're going out to capture videos, so whether you're taking videos of like it's an event or you're just creating some type of video content, what is the plot? Keep that plot in your mind. It'll guide you throughout the entire video shooting and editing process. And then the next thing is purpose, which is basically, why are you telling the story? What are you trying to achieve? What is the benefit, or if there is a benefit to the people that you are going to, create that story for? This will then inform how, you are going to then go about capturing different images. So we're not just, video, sorry. So if you are talking about something to do with, let's say, climate change, really, and the devastation of climate change, let's say, and what's been happening in the Eastern Highlands, you're trying to get a message out there. What is the purpose of what you're trying to do? Capture images that will communicate that effectively, that will, reach to the emotions of people. How is that going to, impact the people? So the purpose of the story and is what I'm shooting, is it going to properly capture and drive that purpose home? So make sure that you're always thinking about that when you are trying to shoot, your different videos at different angles, different places. And the people, and I think with people, it's mostly to do with the people that are in the video. And at times it can be the people that you're shooting about, shooting for, or the people that you are telling the story for. So who are the people in your story? So if you're interviewing subjects, who are they and why are they relevant to that story? Keep that at the back of your mind, because you want that person to resonate with whoever's going to be watching it. So that means you have to select them very carefully. If you're going to be doing a story about miners and, whoever is going, if you're reading, like you want to reach, a student who is doing mining or something like that. You need to, be aware of who those people are and how they're going to resonate with the people that you intend to reach. So if you're going to, select an interview subject that is completely opposite to who you're trying to reach, you need to, maybe think, up around, maybe looking for different interview subjects. And another thing here, with people, you need to know your audience. You need to know your demographics. You need to know who you're creating this content for. This can exactly then also help you decide, on the type of content that the type of videos you're going to shoot, where you're going to go, the type of questions you're going to ask, and the interview subjects that you're going to have. If it's going to be in the form of an interview, it's not necessarily in the form of interviews all the time. There's different types of content. And the last P is place, which is, the place or the environment, right? So it can be the physical place. If you're shooting outdoors, if you're shooting at someone's home, it's at a studio shoot, just, where's this place being shot, and where's the scene being shot, sorry, and how is it going to impact, how is it going to be received by the person who is, viewing this video, and how will it impact the narrative? So in as much as, location is important, there's also context. I think we talked about context and background last week. So, the background of, what's happening there is very important. So if you're going to be talking about, the devastation of, the example I gave of, floods, or what's been happening in the Eastern Highlands, the floods and all those things. Background, like literally, if you can shoot somewhere with, whether a house has fallen because of, the recent, floods, that is impactful, and, that is that environment, and also comes, into the background, because we know okay, this is what happened here. This the reason why this person is sitting in front of their house that is, has no roof or something is because of what happened a few weeks ago. So that is, location in terms of physical location and context in the sense of the background. We know what happened there. This background is helping us to understand where the story is coming from and hopefully where we're trying to go with the story. Yeah, those are some of the the 4 P's of storytelling. So that applies not only to video, the storytelling tips. You can apply them to your different types of visual storytelling. So whether it's photography, whether it's you're writing actual stories, try and remember those 4 P's when you're trying to tell different stories, right? And another big issue around storytelling is the issue of composition, which goes back to the basics of photography. So it's very important that we pay attention to composition. And I say composition as just basically how your picture is made up. So the picture that you're looking at, the video, the frame that the audience is looking at, how is it made up? What is in it? What are you focusing on? How are you going to direct your viewers' attention to what you want them to focus on? And again, I think we talked about this before, that in terms of my attention span, especially for people who are like millennials and coming this side, concentration spans have shortened. So you don't want to be wasting people's time, just by having them guess, okay, what is this story about? Where am I supposed to focus? Your video in itself, the way it's shot, it must be in such a way that it's already the viewer knows where exactly they need to concentrate on. They need to just directs them to where they need to be looking, need to focus on. And this is where there's this thing called the rule of thirds. The rule of thirds is a very popular concept when you're creating visual content. This whether it's cinematography, it's photography, videography. The rule of thirds is something that you learn right at the very beginning when you're doing the basics of photography and video. And basically what's happening here is that a picture or a frame is divided into thirds, right? And you're using imaginary or vertical images. I mean lines, sorry, using imaginary like vertical and horizontal lines, right? And okay, fine, let me just move on to this. This will help you understand what I'm talking about when you talk about composition through the rule of thirds. So you will see these lines 1, 2, 3, rule of try and put your subject. Sorry, let me share my screen again. Dropped. There we go. I hope you can see this. So where these 1, 2, 3, 4, at these intersections, that's where you must try by all means to get, your subjects to be. So it allows the viewer to their eyes to be focused on there, but also without necessarily making it too hard for them to concentrate on what's happening everywhere else. So like the rule of thirds, basically the idea is you're putting what you want to focus right here where it's very easy and natural for the eye to fall on, without necessarily taking away from what's happening in the background. So from here, as you can see, it's a nice wide shot of this couple and they're right here on this intersection, but then you can still see what's happening in the background. Here with Michael B. Jordan, he's not necessarily in the center, but then, there's enough space for you to look at him and then see what's going on in the background, which is basically what the rule of thirds is about, putting it 1, 2, 3, right here on where those imaginary lines are. So like when you're taking videos or films, obviously it's not going to be there physically. These are imaginary lines. So like when you're taking a picture, you have to imagine this. When you're taking a video, when you're shooting a video, you have to imagine these lines. They're not going to be there physically. You imagine them then you position your subject right on those intersections. At times there are certain cameras that actually can do that, but in most cases, yeah, you have to imagine that for yourself. Yeah, that is it about composition and the rule of thirds. Right, that is it for video. Are we together so far on the second type of visual
we are.
storytelling?
Yes, we are.
Awesome. And so the final type of visual storytelling medium is infographics. So infographics, I like infographics because they are really a great balance between, just information and data. And, when I say visuals, I mean, when I say graphics, I mean, just like, illustrations, pictures, and it's mostly to do with illustration. So like if you are a great designer, awesome, this would be so amazing for you. You can just fire up your Illustrator, your Photoshop, and start, coming up with some of these great illustrations and graphics. But if you're not, like some of us, not to worry. There are different types of platforms that you can use to come up with infographics. And so, why do we want to use infographics? And this is because they're a great way to condense like a ton of information so that you can consume it in small bite sizes. So if you're looking at, the statistics around, let's say, cancer, cervical cancer in women aged between 13 and 30 and 65. It's just a random example. An infographic can do that because it collects, you collect all the different data and then you depict it in a graphical. So you put it in an infographic. So I'm just going to show you a few of those infographic examples. Yeah, so this is some of infographic examples. I'm just going to go back and just talk about why we want to use infographics, right? And they're also used to portray as I said, statistics or data that is number intensive, and then it does that in an easily manageable and readable manner. So rather than reading articles and articles about all those things, it condenses all that information into a nice, readable, and at times very colorful way. And also, it is visually appealing, and when I say visually appealing, I mean it's I don't want to say nice to look at, but then it's not intensive. It's not like you're concentrating way too much. It's just a picture and some words explaining, and it's easy to consume. Like really anyone, any reader is likely to enjoy that. And there have been some statistics that have shown that at times readers will be more likely to they prefer consuming infographics rather than actual articles. So here are some examples of infographics. So there's different types. I think I can send links to different platforms where you can get infographic templates. So when I talked about representing data, there's pie charts, there's different graphs, there's all these different visual representations. So what you're going to do, you're going to have that data somewhere, whether it's on an Excel sheet or whatever, and then you can then transpose it onto the infographic. So let's say like here, we're talking about, is it clear? Can you see? Here.
Yes.
The depiction of, here, this is a representation of a population. So these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever people that have been highlighted, a representation of a particular demographic. So, if you're saying like 33% of, the young population in Zimbabwe, that's just, words. But then the infographic has then shown it, okay, so I'm not sure if you get what I'm saying, that this is like you get to see it in a way. You obviously can't see like 33% of, 2 million people all in one go. But then when it's being put, using such graphics, you get to have that and understand, okay, there's 7 or so that have been highlighted, meaning those are ones that are affected by something, then the rest are not. you get that visual representation of data. And then, there's also, you can use infographics, for things like, tips on how to do certain things, right? This is usually the format, this one here. You can use such formats to give you tips on how to, do an herb garden following these steps. So like rather than writing, a 600-word article, you can just, find a few pictures, get some information, and then condense it into an infographic, which anyone can consume. And it's just really, as I said, it's visually appealing. And yeah, really, you can find some of these templates. If you're not good at design, you can find them on places like Canva, on Venngage. Well, Venngage, yeah, there's some amazing templates there, but then you have to obviously create an account, and at times some of those are not, the great ones are not really easily available. But I think that's true of most of these free platforms. You can use Crello, which has now been changed to Vista Create, or Post on My Wall as well. So those are some of the free platforms that you can use to find templates for infographics, and then you can populate it with your own type of data. I hope that makes sense. So that is it for the different types of, visual storytelling techniques. And just, to round it off, one of my literature teachers used to, say, the KISS method is amazing. Just keep it short and simple. And I think this, you can apply it really anywhere and everywhere. I'm one of those people, I don't know, I can't speak for obviously everyone, but I'm one of those people who consumes content that is like really short and succinct and straight to the point. And platforms like Instagram and Facebook stories, those very short stories, you get everything condensed into a Facebook story. Your TikTok videos, your YouTube shorts, Snapchat, all those platforms, as short as the stories really don't need to be long and word intensive. We can get all that condensed information into a short, graphical content piece, and that people can appreciate and engage with. And then this is an interesting statistic that was done by who did this? Yeah, it was Buzz Sumo, that people, consumers especially, prefer to watch videos of between 2 and 4 minutes long, rather than hour-long news stories. So in essence, what I'm trying to do as I'm rounding off here is, if you can tell your story in a shorter period of time, do it. Don't try and, be some boss and just long articles and stories, that, if you know that people have short, people don't have time, they're just doing different things. If you have a certain dedicated time to consume your content, you just make it short and simple. That way, everyone understands, and, we keep that attention. People don't get bored without information. That's it, you guys. That is all that I have for you in terms of visual storytelling. Are there any questions, contributions, anything that you didn't agree with? This is the time to ask and communicate.
For me, it's not a question, it's rather just a comment on the presentation overall. Yeah, I can say it's well explained and well informative. So I think from the way it started and right up to the end, everything is just like spot on, and I've understood clearly. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for that feedback. Thank you.
No, I agree with them. It was very informative, engaging, like you were saying, just to keep our attention on it and not fade away looking somewhere else.
Awesome, thank you. That's yeah, we can try and do that really with what telling our stories. That's great. Is there anything else, guys? Or can I hand it over to
Yes, I have something else. Are there any questions before I talk about the assignment?
I do.
Okay.
Okay. If you've noticed that TikTok is about to introduce 2 minutes, it's about to extend the time frame of doing videos. Is it going to be longer than 2 minutes, or is it's just strictly 2 minutes? I just saw it on news on Twitter that they want to extend the coverage for videos. I noticed that usually TikToks are done under a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So is the time frame still okay when you want to do a visual storytelling, a visual story? 2 minutes.
If it's 2 minutes, I think what the researchers were saying that it's between 2 and 4 minutes. Those are generally more the acceptable length. So if it's a 2-minute video, yeah, it's still great. 2 minutes is still I usually do watch news videos that are like 2 or so minutes long. But if it's like, fluff content at times, if it's more than 30 seconds, it really doesn't, resonate with me. I'm not gonna watch it for the full 30 seconds, whatever time it is. But then it's information that resonates with the people that you're trying to connect with. The 2 minutes to 4 minutes is generally still a safe bet. So in my opinion, the 2 minutes you can still play around with the 2 minutes. But if you can make it shorter than the 2 minutes and still make it impactful, go for it. Definitely.
Well,
okay.
you can still make a video story in a minute as well. It depends, especially if it's video, so it depends on the images that you're going to be putting in that 1 minute, and the voiceover or the sound or the narration that is behind that video. So even 1 minute, you can actually tell an entire story in that 1 minute. So 2 minutes is good. 3 minutes is also good, but something that is over 5 minutes these days, that is just stretching it. So it's maybe 5 minutes can be for tutorials. Maybe you're sharing tips on how to apply for a certain visa, how to apply for a certain scholarship. Yes, you can stretch to over 5 minutes. But if it's news or something that you want people to just, or just a story, in fact, going over 5 minutes will be asking too much of us, because we really don't want to be watching things that long. Unless if it's also documentaries and stuff like that. But if it's just short story type of videos, a type of news stories, or just stories, then try to make it around 3 minutes. And 3 minutes is actually very long. You will see when you're now doing your assignments. So yeah, with that being said, I'm going to talk about the assignment for this lesson. So I will obviously send another document, a separate document that will explain what you're supposed to do in the assignment, how long the assignment is supposed to be, and when it's due. So I'll just start with when it's due. This assignment is due next week on Monday, and it's in 3 parts. So this is going to be a more intense assignment that you guys will have to work on. And initially I had planned that you guys do it as groups, but I think that will be too hard for you to coordinate. So you'll just do it as individuals. So as you saw in this lesson, that you have 3 types of visual storytelling mediums that we mainly focused on, and that was photo and video and then infographics. So the assignment is going to be all 3 of those. Yay! So and like Linda said, there are some people who choose to take photos, authentic images, go out and you do a shoot and all of that, or you take stock images. So I will not be accepting stock images unless maybe it is for fillers for the video. So for your photo, the photo assignment, I want you to do a photo essay. So you can either do an article, and each and every paragraph has to have a photo. So maybe it would be like a photo, and then below that photo, there's a paragraph that's explaining what is in that photo or what's the story behind and all of that. Or you just do a mosaic. So you just put like a newspaper or a page or a calendar, magazine page, where it's just the whole A4 is just pictures, and those pictures are telling a story. Does that make sense? So that is the photo assignment. So you can either do it as an article where each photo has a paragraph accompanying it, or as a magazine or newspaper page where the whole story is just photos. So each photo will have its own story, like it's narrating something. So maybe you have a photo of somebody growing up and you have this small picture of them as a baby, you have them graduating in preschool, you have them, I don't know, doing something in primary or secondary, and then they become a lawyer and now they have kids of their own, and you know, something like that. It's just telling a story about that person. So you don't have to put captions on that one. Your images have to tell a story, so it will be up to you. And then the second one, which will be a video. So this video will be made up of photos and also videos. So you can use your photos that you took for that first part of the assignment to now you mix them up as a slide if you want, or you can edit them on a video editing tool. So you can use Adobe Premiere Pro, you can use Apple Movie Maker, you can use Windows Movie Maker. I don't know which other video editing tools you have at your disposal. So you can then use those to edit and compile your photos that you used for the first part of the essay, or it's a whole new story that you want to tell using photos. So you have those images and maybe short, very short videos, maybe like 5-second to 10-second videos that you'll be joining together to tell a story. Here you can also narrate. You can use your own voice as a voiceover to tell the story. So this is the situation that is happening in Ukraine, if you're in Ukraine somehow. So these people are suffering, they don't have anything to eat. I spoke to what, and these are the pictures. So you show the images, so you don't necessarily have to say these are the pictures. So the pictures will be actually showing what you are saying. And all of that. So if you want to add background music that is sad and will make us cry about the Ukraine situation, that is up to you. And then there should also be text in that image, in that video, sorry. So it would be more like subtitles or just text that is pointing out to the things that you're narrating in that video. So this one will be the hardest because it has all the elements. We have text, we have picture, we have video in that one piece. And then the last one will be the infographic. So choose whatever topic or whatever information you want to put on your infographic. Unlike last time where I chose a topic for you guys and say tech and entrepreneurship, what. This time around, you can choose whatever you want to put. And if you want to make it really, really cool, you can have all these 3 assignments having one story. So you have your photos just showing the situation, the video that gives more depth to what your photos were talking about, and then an infographic that actually puts out the statistics of that situation or that story that you were talking about. So it's all up to you. If you want to separate all 3 to talk about 3 different things, that is also acceptable. But that's the assignment that will be due next week. So if you have any questions about it, you can ask now. You're also free to ask later when I then send out the assignment later today. It's still fine. So any questions right now? No questions. So you're all happy about the assignment? Yep.
We're thinking. We're coming up with ideas.
or you're now stressed.
Yes.
Yeah. Just a reminder. So these assignments, everything that you produce at the end of the day, the last week will be about building your portfolio. So everything that you're doing will be put in your e-portfolio. So you need to make sure you do your level best. Of course, when you then submit, we will help you to panel beat where you need to correct and blah, 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 make it perfect, make it good looking so that your e-portfolio also is appetizing and all of that. But your first effort should just be all your best, all the best that you can give. So just bear that in mind. And also think about very nice and interesting topics that even when we are now sharing, because we will share on our social media pages So the articles, especially the articles that we're going to pay you guys for, the ones that will publish on Venture Nation, we will promote those articles on our social media platforms. That's the Tech Village social media platforms. So it has to be something that you will be proud of and you are eager for the world to see what you have done. Of course, there are some other things, maybe like the videos and all these other ones that are a bit complex. So we will just need your go ahead if we can publish those. But we would prefer that everything that you guys produce will be perfect and will be able to be published and promoted. Because guys, there is money in all these content pieces. You can make money out of this. You can then start your YouTube channel and start doing these short video stories where each and every week you're posting a story about something, and the more views you get, the more money you have. So think about the bigger picture about all of this. You can start monetizing on each and every content piece. Even the infographics, there are certain organizations that will be like, I'm doing research, but I don't know how to package my research results. I don't know how to package my information so that it can be viewed, my research paper, so that it can be viewed on social media. Because people are running away from research papers that are just text and boring. So they want to add some graphic elements to their research paper so that when the rest of the world reads it, it's interesting, it's attractive. So this is where you then come in. If you're now able to do an infographic, you can now start charging, okay, I'll do this research paper, this infographic for $100 and we'll package your research and blah, 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 blah. Now you have your money. So take this seriously and we'll help you perfect those skills and help you make money in future. Okay. Not sure if there's anything else. Lindelwe, yeah, I'm done with the assignment.
No, unless there are any questions about the presentation, or if you want to ask, or we want to talk a bit later about the presentation. For me, there's nothing else. Thank you so much, you guys, yeah, for your feedback. Thank you for your attending and for, your attention. Thank you so much. We will, we'll be in touch, as time goes on. All right, so if there's nothing else, I
Thank
think.
you.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Great, guys. Awesome. Thank you so much. So we'll talk a bit later, yeah? We can talk on the group, etc. All right, bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.